Hello everybody and welcome to predictions for week 9 of the UFL season. 2 weeks to play at this point. We're just looking for some UFL championship previews. And in this week we have a USFL conference championship preview as well as a few other games to try and really hone in on the playoff seeding. Although it doesn't really matter this year in the UFL, but that's for reasons we're not going into today. But if you're a new subscriber, it would be greatly appreciated. Leave a like and comment down below your own thoughts for week 9 of UFL. Let's get right into it. To kick things off, Friday at 8 p.m. EST, we have the St. Louis Battlehawks playing the San Antonio Brahmas. And although San Antonio is listed as the home team for this game, due to scheduling conflicts, this game is going to be played in St. Louis, meaning it is basically a 6 home game for the Battlehawks this season, and that is 100% going to be playing a factor in this game. The Battlehawks this entire season have really dominated at home, aside from that game against DC, but they are a really good team at home because they have that really good home field advantage. Manny Wilkins has been playing well this year. Jacob Saylor is coming off of a fantastic performance, a performance of which won him Offensive Player of the Week in the UFL. And the defense as well played a really great game last week, made some big time plays too in order to get that 1-point win over Birmingham. And San Antonio, again, they're at this point in the season trying to figure out what next year will look like at this point. So they started Kevin Hogan last week. I'm not sure who will be getting the start this week or how many quarterbacks they'll be switching in and out of, as well as the entire team as a whole. Going to be playing a lot of different pieces, trying different styles and whatnot. So I have the Battlehawks winning this game. And I was going to pick St. Louis to win this game, regardless if this was in San Antonio or in St. Louis. But this one being in St. Louis as well as that extra home game for the Battlehawks, definitely going to give them the advantage. So I have St. Louis winning this game. Saturday at noon EST, the Arlington Renegades make the trip to play the Memphis Showboats. And although Arlington is eliminated from the playoffs, they still played a really good game against DC last week in the game that lost them the playoff spot. But also the fact that they really easily could have been in the playoffs this season if a few plays late in the game so ended up going their way instead. But all around, this is a much improved Arlington team from what they are last year, although the record doesn't really show it at this point in the season. Memphis is a poor team. They won the game last week against San Antonio in overtime, but they still didn't look great in that game. Trey Williams only had 36 passing yards, and the passing game as a whole looked very lackluster. And I'm curious to see who they're going to be starting this week. I doubt it's Trey Williams again. It probably will be someone else. How much of a factor will that play into the passing game and to the offense as a whole? I'm not sure. I'm picking Arlington to win this game nonetheless. To me, Arlington is a team that they very easily could have been in the playoffs, and they were very easily a playoff team this year. It's just the fact that you only get 2 in, and St. Louis and DC are some of the best teams in the league this year. So I do really like Arlington. I think Luis Perez will have a fine game once again and looking to bounce back off the game-losing interception last week. And hopefully the ground game will be able to get going better in this one. So I have the Arlington Renegades winning. Also on Saturday at 3 p.m. EST, a USFL Conference Championship preview as the Michigan Panthers make the trip to Birmingham to play the Stallions. This is going to be a really, really good game and a really interesting game. Part of it is because as of the time of recording, I'm not fully certain on this, but there is a chance that Alex Magoo could be back for this game. And it was against Michigan in week 2 that he got injured for the majority of the season against. So he might be making his return game in this one, at least in some capacity. But if not, Jamar Smith still played really well last week against St. Louis, and it was a near-grade win for Birmingham last week as well. Michigan is coming off of a good win against Houston in their game last week, and just all around, Michigan is the best team in the league this year, in my opinion. But another case where I'm not fully certain about the quarterback position, because at the time of recording this, we don't know the status on Bryce Perkins. I would imagine it's another game-time decision, and I would imagine that if he's not fully able to go, they probably will just rest him for the playoffs. So it very easily might be Danny Etling getting the start again for Michigan in this one. Either way, I don't think it's really going to impact my thoughts on this game too much, because at the end of the day, Michigan has yet to beat Birmingham in the UFL, or even going back to the USFL. It has been their kryptonite as a team, so I have the Stallions winning this game. A little bit of an upset potentially, but I do think, especially if Danny Etling is behind center, the woes of Michigan are going to come back to them against this really good Birmingham defense. And again, just have yet to beat this team. Have any time to do it. Maybe not this week, but definitely come playoff time would be the time to do it. But I do have the Stallions winning nonetheless. And finally, Sunday at 4 p.m. EST, the DC Defenders make the trip to play the Houston Roughnecks. We were 1 week away from this being a really high intensity, really great game to decide playoff spots, but at this point, DC has their spot clinched and Houston is officially eliminated. DC had a pretty solid win the week prior in the game that Jordan Tiamu played fine in. Fine. He played really well in. The offense as a whole played really well. The defense is what was lackluster in that game last week against Arlington, but it wasn't the ground defense, it was the passing defense. And that definitely could play a factor in this one. Jalen McClellan has been a really solid quarterback for Houston since getting the start a few weeks prior. And all around, this Houston team has looked a lot better since McClellan has become the starter. But at the end of the day, it is still a really good front seven from DC and a really, really good defense from DC going against Houston. I'm going to pick DC to win this game. And if it ends up being another high-intensity, massive shootout, the ground games will play a factor. Houston's ground defense, although it has improved since week 1 in that decimation that St. Louis gave to them, they're still not a great ground defense. Meanwhile, DC has a really good ground offense with Abram Smith and Deion Jackson, the two running backs there. So at the end of the day, no matter which way this game unfolds, I have confidence in saying DC will come up on top in the end. So there you have it, my thoughts on week 9 of the UFL season. And we are very nearing the end of the UFL season, but the content does not stop once the UFL does. The offseason, we have a bunch of stuff talking about the NFL as well. But throughout the live streams and throughout the other videos, as we get closer to the end, I'll be kind of talking about more and more about what to expect from the channel. So if anything potentially excites you, subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Leave a like as well, and I'll see you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.